Sorry about that. Got disconnected. Um, Hold on a second. So whatever little eyeball was there, come back. Come back. Sorry. Got disconnected, so here we go. So this is a continuation from this show that got disconnected. So we're just gonna start right off. I'm not gonna do no openings like that because that'd be weird. So it's the reparations here, and I guess like I'm old or something. I don't know what the fuck's going on right
33% of their dismissed petitions was because the person was adequately treated in outpatient mental health. Why would... And proceed whenever you're ready.
Oh my God, this is as loud as it goes. I would say hopefully you can hear it with the mic. I'll put the mic right here, right up on it. Rigging. So hopefully I don't lose signal again. But all right. So yeah, just waiting for Amend the Mass Media to start. So hopefully you can hear it. Let's see.
Welcome. Another item on the agenda, and so Senator Umberg, if you'd like to go ahead and come on up and proceed whenever you're ready.
Morning. You, Mr. Chair, have before you, actually we have two bills that are before you. The first is SB 27, which is the annual care court cleanup bill. Thank you, Ms. Merrilees, for your assistance on this bill. This is the cleanup bill, and it requires the courts
to captions on, you can see it.
Competent those who not competent to be able to stand trial, to be able to assist counsel in their defense. It also combines certain hearings to create more efficiency, allows the sharing of data between care partners, who are licensed medical professionals. It also, for example, it allows those with mood disorders with psychotic features to also be included in the universe of those who are eligible for care court. With me to testify today is Dr. Erin Meyer, a behavioral health officer for the city of San Diego, as well as Ann Hadrius with the Judicial Council of the state of California.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Morning, Chair Kalra, members of the committee. My name is Erin Meyer. I'm a practicing psychiatrist and assistant clinical professor at the University of California, San Diego. I'm not speaking on behalf of the University of California, but I'm here today as a contracted behavioral health officer of the city of San Diego, proud supporter of Senate Bill 27. So one of the current challenges in implementing the CARE Act is that the phrase clinically stabilized in ongoing voluntary treatment is not defined. Sadly, petitions have been dismissed because enrollment in an ACT program alone has been equated with stabilization. Stability in an ACT program must be questioned when someone is calling 911 more than 20 times in a month, even after enrollment. City first responders know all too well that simple enrollment and successful engagement are two different things. So Senate Bill 27 clarifies the meaning of clinically stabilized.
Oops, sorry, family.
A certification program that would be better if
dimensions, right? We're making it easier for different systems to refer in through the
Center on Law and Property opposing this bill. Okay, thank you.
Hold on, let me get to it.
Shamil Watson with Disability Rights.
Someone is calling 911 more than 20 times in a month, even after enrollment. City first responders know all too well that simple enrollment and successful engagement are two different things. So Senate Bill 27 clarifies the meaning of clinically stabilized to mean that someone is stable and not deteriorating, likely to survive safely in the community without supervision, managing symptoms through medication or other therapeutic interventions, and that their mental health condition is not negatively impacting their ability to live safely within the community or current housing situation. This matters now. In Los Angeles County, 33% of their dismissed petitions was because the person was adequately treated in outpatient mental health. Why would
Welcome back.
33% of petitions be submitted
Little
when the
eyeball.
person was currently stable?
Oh.
And so, as an example,
All
the
right.
pending care
Welcome back,
petition
Jesse.
involves
only
an
in this
individual who has not changed their
being a
clothes in
weirdo.
over a year, requiring prompting to eat, someone else is using their EBT card, they're unable to utilize SSI benefits, they refuse to move to a more supported setting due to paranoia, reporting adherence to medications despite those medications not being in their possession. This person is already enrolled in an ACT program. So, but without a definition of clinically stabilized and ongoing voluntary treatment, that petition could be dismissed too.
That's your
Good.
So the hope of the CARE Act program was to hold counties accountable
Yeah.
for treating those with the most severe mental illness, whose vulnerability and severity of illness causes them to slip through the cracks of a system that caters to those who are less functionally impaired.
That's why.
Senate Bill 27 creates clarity so individuals who require more support receive it. So thank you, Senator Umberg, for your commitment to the most vulnerable, who are all too often seen the most, but treated the least.
Thank you.
Good morning, Ann Hedrius from the Judicial Council. And just to clarify, the council has not taken a position on this bill. I'm here to provide any technical assistance regarding questions about the court process as it exists now and how it might exist under these amendments. The goal is streamlining to try to increase efficiency, but also increase flexibility for courts to find what works the best for an individual respondent.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in support of SB 27?
Uh-oh.
Ethan Nagler on behalf of the city of Bakersfield in strong support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members. Moira Top here on behalf of San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria and the City of San Diego in support.
Thank you.
Good morning, Dylan Elliott on behalf of the California State Association of Psychiatrists in support.
Thank you.
See judges.
Is there anyone here? Oh, there's actually more support. Yeah, come on up. If you are support. Yeah, just your name, organization, if any, and your support position on the bill.
Hi, I'm Dr. Susan Partovia. I'm a street medicine doctor in Los Angeles, and I am in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in opposition to SB 27?
This is where all the black people come. This is opposition. We're in opposition. Look. Yeah. That's right. Get it.
Go Ramos. I'm here representing CAMFRO, California Association of Mental Health peer-run organizations, and we strongly oppose SB 27.
Good morning, Benjamin Henderson with the Western Center on Law and Property, opposing this bill.
Okay, thank you.
Shamil Watson with Disability Rights California, and we stand in total opposition to this bill.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, go ahead. Let's just do the Me Too's first. Then.
Clifton Wilson. Clifton Wilson on behalf of the Fresno County Board of Supervisors in respectful opposition. Thank you.
Thank you.
Danny Jericho on behalf of the California Youth Empowerment Network in opposition.
Thank you.
Karen Vicari on behalf of Mental Health America of California and Cal Voices in opposition.
Thank you.
Andy Liebenbaum on behalf of LA County with a clarification. Our support was prior to the June 17 amendments. We are contemplating our position. We are hoping to be able to work with the author on serious concerns that we have.
Thank you.
Reluctant no. Yes.
Good morning, Glenn Backus, drug politicians in opposition.
Thank you.
Jacob Brent with the California Retailers Association, actually in support. Just got here a little late.
No problem. Thank you. All right, and let's go to the witnesses in opposition. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning. My name is Eric Harris. I'm the Associate Executive Director of External Affairs at Disability Rights California, and we are in opposition of SB 27. Our reasons are articulated in our coalition's letter. One of the many reasons that we oppose include the expansion of adding mood disorders with psychotic features to the criteria for care court. As Fannie Lou Hamer once said, we are sick and tired of being sick and tired. In 2022, my colleagues and I were told by the champions of care court that it would be a voluntary and only cover a small portion of the disability community. Ever since, every year, the champions of care court push for expansion. California remains in a housing crisis, and the state still is not providing enough accessible mental health services for those who need it. We warned the community and policymakers then that the champions of care court would not stop, but would expand to cover more unhoused people with mental health disabilities and beyond. And this is what SB 27 would do. After our experts with mental health disabilities and other community members were disrespected by the champions of care court and told that this is what the community wanted, the latest data shows that only 100 people actually have gone through the entire process. Not 100,000, 100 people. There are probably 100 people in this room right now. Approximately $70 million has been spent so far. No housing has been provided for any individuals involved. As experts from our community warned, care court is a waste of money, and so would SB 27. As we warned, Black people are disproportionately represented in the care court process, and of the people forced into this process are impacted by many other systems. Let's actually put forward policies to provide services and housing for the community. If the state wants to actually work with the community, community members impacted by these systems and disabled leaders, we are not hard to find. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are not hard to find.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Michelle Cabrera, Executive Director for the Behavioral Health Directors Association, represent Behavioral Health Director for all 58 California currently implementing care court faithfully. Our members are proud of the work that we have done through care court to lift this program up in short order across all 58 counties, and the partnership that we've developed not only with the governor in moving forward this initiative, but with more importantly local communities, with clients, etc. We unfortunately were not aware of the proposed significant amendments to this bill, which are extensive, and given the urgency clause, we urge the committee to consider what it would mean in terms of the quality and access, and to drive an individual into the care court process really without the supports and resources needed for them. For example, and I know that some of this is highlighted in the committee's analysis, but currently the eligible population in terms of prevalence of individuals with schizophrenia is around 0.33 to 0.75 of the total population, whereas mood disorders, the proposed expansion, encompasses 9.7% of the population. Even when you take down to people with psychotic features who have mood disorders, that's still 10 to 20% of that 10% expansion of the population. We're talking about an order of magnitude really outside of the scope of what we are prepared to do immediately upon enactment of this law. Not to mention the lack of housing, which our colleagues with DRC mentioned. Care court did not bring with it necessarily resources. Counties have been implementing one-time behavioral health bridge housing, which has assisted, but we would not have the staff, the resources, or the housing to responsibly care for individuals. And for those reasons, in addition to some others, we are respectfully opposed to this measure.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has not had a chance to express either support or opposition? Okay. I will bring it back to committee. We don't have a quorum, so are there any questions or comments? Yes, Madam Vice Chair.
A couple things to the author. I really applaud what you've been trying to do since 2022. This is important. law and now proposed expansion, as has been described. And I think it's really important in our communities to help the people who need help. And the law has prevented access to those individuals. I am curious with your comments, ma'am. So you support the care court process. This is a matter of resourcing because of the expansion of the definitions. That you're in support of what care court is doing to help people, but maybe housing is a problem and other staff resources are a problem. But the intent of what Senator Umberg is doing, the author is doing, do you object to that?
There are several dimensions, right? We're making it easier for different systems to refer in through the referrals becoming petitions part of this bill. So that expedites the number of referrals in of all types. And then you're expanding the eligible population very significantly. And we have not had an opportunity to talk through what the ramifications or appropriateness of that would be, because we've only just learned about these amendments. And so I think our members are very proud of the work that they've done within care court. The secret sauce is really in that high touch outreach and engagement to individuals who may not realize that they need help. And care court provides the first ever avenue really for us to get resourcing to do that. And so I think to the point of some of our colleagues with the consumer group, ways to achieve the outcomes so any way that we can facilitate, we are really excited.
I think I'll let Dr.
Well, let me respond to both. As to Mr. Harris, he is correct that we would be much better off in California if everyone who had any sort of mental illness had a stable place to get well. We'd be much better off in behavioral health persons, including personnel, maybe got well. We'd be much better off in California if we had the, besides the behavioral health resources, also the other attendant resources to make sure that everyone got well. And we don't have all those resources. This care court is focused on a very small population, but a very ill population. And it is interesting, as Mr. Harris points out, we've had very few people in care court, but I'm sorry, your name again, last name is
Cabrera.
Ms. Cabrera points out it's too big. So I suppose we're trying to do the Goldilocks approach, where we're trying to make sure that those who have psychotic episodes, who have schizophrenia, can avail themselves of care court. Doesn't mean that they all will be in care court. Requires a petition, often a family member who seeks the structure of care court. What this bill does is as was pointed out, it does streamline the process. Part of the challenge is we want a number of touches, both touches in the community, but we also want the court to basically hold the system accountable, not just the individual, but the county and those who are responsible to help this person get well be held accountable. But we don't want to harass people. We don't have them come to court for no ostensible behavioral purpose. So just simply showing up for some administrative matter is not worthwhile. So we're trying to combine things. We're also trying to make sure that we do capture those who have psychotic episodes, people who we all observe who are experiencing psychotic episodes on the street, and we want to make sure that they are eligible, at least eligible. It doesn't mean they're enrolled. It just means that they could be potentially enrolled.
And could you care to comment, if it's relevant, with the a year ago with the Prop 1 passage for bond measure for increased medical facilities? Does that interface with care court in any way? I don't know, so I'm curious.
That's a great question. Prop 1 largely provided for housing, and part of care court is to provide a stabilized environment for someone to get well. Judges can order counties to provide housing, so I would hope that there's connectivity.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Assembly members.
Good morning, Senator. Thank you for being here today.
I was trying to figure that last month.
I'm supportive of the Care Courts program, so thank you for bringing this, and I'll be supporting the bill today, but I do have a number of concerns and questions.
She can't shut it down.
You know, the expansion of the eligibility criterion seems to be relatively significant and goes beyond the most severely mentally ill, which is what the program is intended to serve. In looking at the definition of mood disorders with psychotic features, is that a clearly defined term in medical literature? Could you sort of speak to that? I saw that the county behavioral health directors noted that almost 10% of the population has been diagnosed with some form of mood disorder. So I'm trying to get a sense of how big an expansion of the program this is, and whether or not this is likely to, bring into the program folks that actually should and can be making decisions for themselves.
So fortunately, I brought a psychiatrist along, and perhaps he can help with the definition. I'll follow on with the rest of your question.
So typically, mood disorders are inclusive of major depressive disorder and bipolar disorder. Those are the most common mood disorders. With major depressive disorder, probably about 2 to 5% of those individuals have some degree of psychosis in their lifetime. So a very small fraction of those with major depressive disorder. With bipolar disorder, anywhere from 40 to 60% in their lifetime. 20% in their lifetime. So it is a fraction of people with major depressive disorder and bipolar disorder. And that's also in the context of in order to be eligible for the CARE Act program, you have to not be clinically stabilized in ongoing treatment, unlikely to survive safely in the community without supervision, and participation in a care plan or care agreement would be the least restrictive alternative necessary. So you have the diagnosis, which is participation in a care plan for unlikely to survive safely in the community.
They left their slaves in other states.
Without supervision, and the person's condition is substantially deteriorated.
Take care of them.
So you have the diagnosis, but then you have all the other elements that must be met in order to be eligible for the CARE Act program. So it really is a sliver of even the diagnostic specifier of psychosis with the mood disorder.
Can I allow the? Sounds like you had a comment on that.
Indeed, yeah. The sources, the medical literature suggests that the numbers are much higher. So again, we're talking about when you compare the population that has schizophrenia, it's between 0.33, 0.75%. And then you have to add all the CARE Court criteria on top of that. So it limits that population pretty significantly. When you're talking about mood disorders, we're talking about 9.7% of the overall population. Now, for people with major depressive disorder, the estimates are that between 10 and 20% of those individuals.
I am going to support the bill, and the reason I'm going to support the bill is that I think people are getting a bit short-shrifted on the idea that mental health diversion, they're getting
relatively small expansion.
And just this morning, and this has happened to me a couple of times, I haven't felt threatened, and I'm prepared for that, but people have approached me, they're waking up, and they clearly are having a moment of mental.
Well, that's the white people think.
Believe it or not, and I think that your efforts are trying to make it worth it by getting the right people into the program, and so I understand that and respect that. And so I do have an recommendation today to allow you the opportunity to continue to work on some of the questions that have been raised also, and by the opposition and some of the questions that the members have brought forth as you move on. If this does pass on to Health Committee, I think that committee in particular is going to be able to dive a little deeper into some of the areas of most concern that folks might have. Would you like to close?
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, you are right. This is triple referred. This is the third year we've had a CARE Court bill before this committee, and I expect that next year we'll have another CARE Court bill in front of this committee, because this is a new dynamic. It's evolving. I appreciate the stakeholders. Stakeholders have been most helpful, whether health specialists, officials, or disability community to improve the care court process.
I don't know why we need this, but I don't want to.
I think there are more than 100. In fact, I know that there are more than 100 people who have been involved in care court over the last year.
I'm David Horton. I'm Martin Luther King Jr. Professor of Law at UC Davis. I've written extensively about this problem of infinite arbitration clauses. In fact, at the risk of bragging, I coined the term. Infinite arbitration clauses are seriously problematic because they defy consumers' expectations and cause absurd results. Let me give you a simple example. Say you have an iPhone that runs on AT&T Mobility's network. When you accepted Mobility's terms and conditions, you also agreed to arbitrate any dispute you will ever have with any member of Mobility's corporate family, including AT&T, for the rest of your life.
Right.
Consider what that means. Suppose you're crossing an intersection and a Mobility van hits you. Your tort claim has to go to arbitration. Or you hear a false statement by a Mobility executive and you buy Mobility stock. Your securities fraud claim has to go to arbitration. Or a Mobility affiliate, DirecTV, makes obnoxious robocalls to your landline. Your Telephone Consumer Protection Act claim has to go to arbitration, even though there's no contract whatsoever between you and DirecTV. Infinite arbitration clauses are less a kind of contractual term and more an arbitration servitude. SB 82 offers an elegant solution to this problem. It requires dispute resolution terms in a consumer contract to pertain only to the product or service provided. As a result, it would prevent companies from compelling arbitration in surprising and bizarre ways. In addition, although the Federal Arbitration Act often preempts state regulation of arbitration, it doesn't do so here. And to see why, you don't need to look beyond the text of the FAA. Its centerpiece, Section 2, only applies to efforts to compel arbitration of controversies that, quote, arise out of the contract with the arbitration clause. As a result, a growing number of courts, including the U.S. Court of Appeals for the 2nd, 9th, and 11th Circuits, have recognized that the FAA doesn't apply at all unless there's some nexus between a plaintiff's claim and the contract with the arbitration clause. States can fill this gap in the FAA, and that's exactly what SB 82 does.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members. Savina Taka with the Consumer Attorneys of California, a proud co-sponsor along with Consumer Federation of California and Consumer Watchdog. SB 82 addresses an increasingly common and deeply unjust problem, the use of infinite arbitration clauses. These clauses are so broad as described herein. To be clear, this bill does not ban arbitration, as the professor said. It simply ensures that it only applies to the transaction between the consumer and the business they agreed to. We've seen real harm in these clauses. You just heard about the Disney case. There's also a case where a couple was hit by an Uber. Their daughter had an Uber Eats account. They were forced into arbitration. There is an issue with a boy who was hurt on a defective diving board at Airbnb. Wasn't his Airbnb, but he was forced into arbitration for his claim. We saw this in the Wells Fargo case where there was fake accounts. They were forced into arbitration even though they didn't sign up for those accounts. So this is a very simple but important measure. We urge your aye vote.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in support of SB 82?
Good morning, Chair and members. Danny Kando-Kaiser on behalf of the California Low Income Consumer Coalition in support.
Thank you.
Good morning, Rosemary Shahan, Consumers for Auto Reliability and Safety. We love this bill.
Thank you.
Good morning, Navneet Purrier on behalf of the California School Employees Association in support.
Thank you.
God damn, she grabbed that mic hard.
Good morning, Griselda Chavez with the Mesa Verde Group on behalf of the Consumer Federation of California in support.
Thank you.
Good morning, Alfred Ramirez in support of the bill and also representing the AARP.
Thank you.
Representative AARP.
Is there anyone here in opposition to SB 82?
Me? Nay. I'm gonna go ahead and say no. Yeah, that's a no for me. How does this benefit us?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. Members, Senator Umberg, as the senator is aware from the first conversation we had about the bill, there are some cases in which his concerns are legitimate, and we're hoping to come to some resolution in terms of addressing this. I would also, Chris McKinley on behalf of the Civil Justice Association of California. I also want to compliment the staff counsel's analysis of the bill. Getting to the language itself, We have a couple of concerns. We think that the language is too restrictive. We understand the purpose and intent is outlined by the author and the sponsors. We think that there are instances where some reasonably related transactions will be caught up in this and therefore will be subject to litigation. We're also concerned that there could lead the current language could lead to, if you will, excessive contracting between a consumer and a business. For example, if you bought, tickets to the opera or something, and you had a slip and fall at the opera house, is that covered or not covered, for example? The second thing is, in the earlier iteration of the bill, it applied to contracts entered into on or after January 1, 2026. That language is no longer here. We would like an explicit provision that it's to be applied prospectively only. And then the subdivision D, I think in the current version of the bill, talks about being liberally construed in favor of the consumer. We think that provision should be struck out because arbitration is beneficial to both parties and they should be on equal footing. With that, we respectfully oppose unless amended.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else here in opposition to SB 82?
Chris Schultz with the California Bankers. We align ourselves with the comments of the Civil Justice Association.
Thank you.
Jacob Brent with the California Retailers Association in respectful opposition.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair and members, Carlos Gutierrez here on behalf of the California Grocers Association. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll bring it back to the committee for any questions, comments, or motions. Assembly Member Arabadian.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to thank the author. I want to thank the opposition. I think that this is a good bill. In my experience, there have been just, I think, a proliferation of arbitration clauses that have forced practicing attorneys into arbitrations when I don't think you would have imagined having to arbitrate those types of claims. I do think that, however, the opposition has a good argument about the retroactivity. So where are you on that issue, and has that been resolved here, or is that still something that you're considering?
I think existing law takes care of that. I mean, unless we somehow say it's retroactive, it's not retroactive. To the extent that we need to basically recodify existing law, we'll consider that. But clearly, if you've entered into an arbitration agreement a couple years ago, we can't void something unless we specifically say this is retroactive. So we'll work with Professor McKaylee to continue to see if we can further define terms. But I think existing law takes care of that.
Okay, I'll move the bill. Just would love to see you continue to work on that.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any other questions or comments? Assembly Member Zabur.
I also think this is a good bill. I'm actually a little bit concerned that it wouldn't be retroactive. We have all these arbitration clauses sort of embedded in these contracts. I mean, I know how many times I've clicked on something that I haven't read because I'm trying to get to the website or whatever it is. So I actually think this is a good bill. I assume that, I'm just sort of reading this, that it's sort of, the bill's effect happens just generally by operation of law going forward, right? If so, you've actually have one of these arbitration agreements is embedded in something. If it's there, it's just automatically null and would make that determination in a contract dispute.
Well,
all right. In a case brought before the court.
Yeah, I should probably be the professor here, but I think it may be on a case by case basis. So as to whether or not it would apply or not apply, but the general state of the law is that laws that we pass here are prospective versus retrospective. So if it's a clarification, I don't think we specified this as a clarification of law versus enactment of a new law. So
I assume someone would sue if one of these is embedded in one of these arbitration clauses embedded in an agreement that they've signed. Then, of course, the defendant would say that there's an arbitration agreement in effect and would raise that, and then the
the plaintiff would have the ability to sort of point to the law and say that it's in effect, it's not in effect. I assume, right?
That's correct. I assume the plaintiff would say this is not retroactive necessarily. It's a clarification of the law.
Great. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm
I don't know
supporting the bill. I
if
think.
Professor, you have any further comment? Okay.
No, that sounds exactly right.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments, questions? All right. Well, thank you, Senator, for bringing this forward. I think there's been a few famous cases in this space where I think this will help to clarify and ensure that the general public has the opportunity to actually not be forced into arbitration in situations where they would have no belief that they signed a contract that would require such. Would you like to close?
I urge my vote.
Thank you.
Motions do pass. Calra.
Aye.
Calra, aye. Dixon. Kahan. Bryan. Conley, aye. Herbedian. Herbedian, aye. Macedo. Pacheco. Pappen. Sanchez. Sanchez, no. Stephanie. Stephanie, aye. Zabur. Zabur, aye.
All right. We'll go ahead and place that on call. I know. Yeah. And to accommodate the closed captioning, which we only have until a limited amount of time, we're going to actually proceed with Senator Weber Pearson's bills and then go back in file order. So I apologize to the other senators, to Senator Hurtado, if we can go with the Weber Pearson bills because they have to be heard before 10:15, and she has two of them. And so we'll go ahead and proceed with SB 437, which is item 9. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you. Well, good morning, Chair and members of the committee. As Chair of the California Legislative Black Caucus, I am here to present one of the CLBC's priority bills, SB 437. Last Friday, the legislature passed and the governor signed into law SB AB 103, which, among other things, allocated $6 million to the California State University to develop an evidence-based reproducible methodology for genealogy determination. This bill provides the necessary structure to guide the CSU in fulfilling that responsibility. It establishes clear parameters, guardrails, and guidelines to ensure that the effort is carried out consistently, transparently, and without the possible perception of bias. This bill is about good governance. SB 437 ensures that the CSU system has a framework in place to carry out this important work in a way that is organized, thoughtful, and responsible. Without SB 437, the CSU will start its work without a clear path or guidance. There will be no oversight to ensure that the allocated funds are used for their intended purpose. SB 437 is supported by the California State University, Office of the Chancellor, Catalyst California, the Greater Sacramento Urban League, Equality California, members of the California Reparations Task Force, and numerous grassroots community organizations. With me today, I have Don Tamaki, a former member of the California Reparations Task Force, and Tanisha Herring, Government Relations Specialist for the California NAACP.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members. Thank you for having me. On behalf of the NAACP California Hawaii State Conference, I'm proud to be here to support 437. The bill, critical piece of legislation that builds on the California Reparations Task Force, which was tasked, called for the establishment of a clear and fair process for verifying descendants of enslaved individuals. The bill provides an accurate way of determining lineage, ensuring that those who are descendants of American slavery can access the reparative benefits that they deserve. This bill directs the CSUs to create and implement a genealogical verification process. This approach not only adheres to the high standards of evidence-based
This is where
research,
I was
but
in the
also
chat,
prevents
just going the fuck
misidentification
off, yes.
and guarantees that reparative benefits are directed to those most impacted by the long-lasting effects of slavery and systemic racism. SB 437 ensures that we do not leave anyone behind in this vital journey toward reparative justice. Moreover, it includes provisions for transparent oversight through annual reporting, ensuring that the public and lawmakers remain informed of progress, challenges, and outcomes related to findings from CSUs. It's a forward-thinking bill that acknowledges the needs of Black Californians while maintaining a high standard of accuracy and fairness in the verification process. And that will ask for your aye vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Culver and members of the committee. Back its turn. I'm an attorney with Manami Tamaki LLP, and I served as a member of the California Reparations Task Force. I'm also part of the Multiracial Statewide Coalition Alliance for Reparations, Reconciliation, and Truth. As the legislature recognized when it created the task force, while the enslavement of African Americans was our nation's original sin, emancipation did not bring an end to the atrocities and deprivations brought against them. Through lynching, Jim Crow laws, racist policing, disenfranchisement, segregation, redlining, the erasure of history, government at all levels perpetuated the legacy of slavery. Mass enslavement ended in 1865, but its badges and incidents have not. Descendants of those enslaved have carried the weight of these harms, and as trauma and loss has passed from generation to generation, resulting in huge and growing disparities in every metric that matters, from wealth to health. With respect to two essential forms of reparations, compensation and restitution, the task force established based on lineage, requiring an individual to be a descendant of a chattel enslaved person or a free Black person living in the United States prior to the end of the 19th century. SB 437 provides the missing details of this complex recommendation by enlisting the CSU and universities and genealogists it partners with to establish a consistent, a vetted, a fair, a credible, and accountable process to verify lineage based in genealogical research and grounded in scholarship and historical accuracy. So we urge your support.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in support of SB 437?
Chair members, staff representatives of McAllis, California, as well as on behalf of the Black Power Network, as well as representing the Alliance for Reparations, Reconciliation, and Truth, and strong support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Monet, of the Greater Sovereign, full support. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and members. Chris Morales with the CSU Office of Support.
Benjamin Henderson with the Western Center on Law and Poverty, and also on behalf of Bar High in support.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in opposition to SB 437?
Sorry, my name is Constance Trent, and I'm head of Mothers Unemployment. The legacy of psychological thing of slavery to us and for the general public, they still see us as that inferior people. We need to repair this. So this is one step in terms of assisting that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, so opposition witnesses, go ahead and begin whenever you're ready.
Thank you.
No. Opposition witnesses. Opposition. Yeah.
Good morning.
Yeah, you said.
Good morning, Assembly members. My name is Michael Willis, and I'm a professional genealogist with 24 years experience, board chair of the African American Genealogical Society of Northern California, and author of the published book, When Your Ancestors Choose You, Finding Binky. The senator has repeatedly stated in numerous hearings that her family's ancestors still have not been identified, and she uses that allegation to generalize that this is the norm for most African Americans in this country. Well, nothing can be further from the truth. When speaking of African American genealogy, she states that families were separated, names were changed, records lost, destroyed, or never created. Although those are true occurrences, they're not as prevalent as she insinuates. Last spring, I attended an event held at the California State Archives in which the senator's own mother, Secretary Shirley Weber, talked about her father, David Nash, and how he stood up to lynch mobs in the South, and subsequently her family fled Hempstead County, Arkansas. This past Saturday morning, I researched her father and found his parents, who were born in the 1880s, in 20 minutes. In the next 20 minutes, I found 4 of his grandparents, and within the next hour and a half, I found his great-grandfather, Anthony Stewart, in the Freedmen's Bureau records and labor contracts just after the Civil War. I also found the senator's 4 times great-grandfather, Warren Hood, a native of Virginia, on the 1870 U.S. federal census, 5 years after the Civil War ended. He was born in 1790. And again, although the research beyond David's parents is more than the task force requires, I share this to emphasize the proven, established methodologies and that genealogists like myself use that don't require $6 million to implement. I did the same thing for former Assembly member Jim Cooper and his 4-time great-grandparents in the Freedmen's Bureau records, and we appeared on Good Day Sacramento to share the discoveries. Just this weekend, the Sacramento Public Library hosted my virtual presentation on practical approaches to African American genealogy, in which I showed the audience how they can apply these methods for successful results. If the senator still intends on giving $6 million to the CSUs, I can send her my bill as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, chair members. My name is Austin. I'm the lead volunteer organizer and advocate with the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California. We are the state's first only leading grassroots organization born and bred for reparations and reparative justice. And we are here to oppose SB 437 and urge your no vote or don't vote on this flawed and misguided proposal. SB 437 is not a step forward, it's a step backward. Rather than implementing what California's own reparations task force already recommended, the delivery of genealogy services directly to residents immediately, this bill proposes an academic study of genealogy with no requirement that any of its findings be acted upon. A study of genealogy, which even top genealogists in the state tell us is unnecessary. I cannot underscore this point enough, members. Genealogists are opposing this genealogy study. This bill also presents a legal and practical contradiction. It proposes to study genealogy when the task force already concluded that the state must do genealogy. That is, provide actual services to help Black Californians trace their lineage back to U.S. chattel slavery. SB 437 delays that work, and in so doing, it slows to a halt future reparations policies, benefits, and rights owed and bestowed upon descendants, many of which will pass through this committee's jurisdiction. And if that wasn't enough, the proposal in SB 437 conflicts with another bill, SB 5EP8, which means a separate, different genealogy process. The result? Bureaucratic red tape, confusion, overlapping mandates, and prolonged delays, all at taxpayer expense. This isn't justice, it's obstruction. California doesn't need more research into whether it should act, it needs to act. We urge you to vote no or abstain on SB 437. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in opposition to SB 437?
Samir Wash, as a member of the community in opposition.
Thank you.
Carol Tolliver, member of CJC, Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, definitely oppose this delay tactic SB 437 bill. Hopefully you will consider my opposition and either vote no or abstain. Thank you.
Jack, California Coalition for Justice. I emphatically oppose the.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Harold Simpson, and
My father was served in the army,
Okay.
and my slave.
That's Harold Simpson. Sound like that.
I'm in post.
Good morning, darling.
My sister's father. Look like it.
Good morning. I'm Darling Harmony in behalf of the American behalf of the American Maryland California Art, as well as Community Advancement and California Black Legislators urge you to know on this unnecessary bill, SB 437. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Yasmin Abdusami Oakley, and I am a part of East Palo Alto Corporations as Coalition for a Just California. We are absolute no on SB 437. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, members for Just and Equitable California, ARC Sacramento, and Amend the Mass Media Group. I implore you to vote no on SB 437. Thank you.
Coalition for Just and Equitable California, and I
Yep.
strongly oppose this bill.
Thank you.
Oops, sorry. I was confused. I thought this, I'm for the genealogy study. I'm for the genealogy in the reparations bill. I'm not for another study. Absolutely. Come on, y'all. We don't need any more studies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, we were there.
Ditto. I
That's
agree.
That's the argument that some people called in and they couldn't get through. Well, they called in right when it was ending public comment. So the people said, we're ending this after the next two people speak. So if you're on the line,
and I know, Senator, you have
get it.
another bill
It's not
after this,
personal.
and
There's no
I just
algorithm.
posed a
It's
question
just
because
you
I
called
think
in
we'll
late.
to both.
And you continue to call in
this
late.
bill,
And now you want to blame an
does
algorithm
this,
or there's some sort of conspiracy why they didn't want to let you
still allow if
But you should
still
have
were to
got on
pass
it when we told you to get on.
pass,
So yeah, you want to blame us like it's our fault. We were on the phone, like, don't let them in. There was none of that.
subsequent bill.
There was none of that.
Thank you
One
so
was
much
on the
for
phone,
that
he was on
question.
the phone, and I was in the
This
chair.
bill does
And
not
there was no
delay
way near
subsequent
where we
actions
were
of
like,
the next bill.
no,
The
no,
next
no.
bill, which we'll
Because
discuss
if
later, is
anything, we're the
actually
ones that
establishing the agency
or
for
we'll use an FBA person.
for
And
the
argument carries
descendants
on and
of
on and
American
on.
chattel slavery.
It's
That is going to take
that.
some time,
Some
right?
ideation,
All
right?
this bill
But
does
when we tell them something,
is
if we were
give
doing
a
this
framework
study with
for
these
the
people,
money that
with every
we
other
already
black person in the
allocated
fucking
and voted
area
and
of
signed into
California,
law
every
on
time we were
Friday.
there,
So
we were there
I
trying
don't
to
have
bond
$6
you
million
up. We were
to
on the
give.
chat.
We
or
as the
on the chat,
legislature
and then we talk
passed
about it
the
later. Go
budget
through
bill
our archive.
last
We're
Friday, and the
live
governor
like
already signed it,
right?
allocating
So
$6 million
it's
to
not that,
CSU
you know,
for
some
this
there was some
purpose.
conspiracy
This
with
provides the
don't let
structure,
in.
it provides
Nobody
oversight, it
did
provides
that fuck shit.
accountability
We wouldn't do that fuck
so that
shit
they have a
because
start
it's the
date, they have an
foundation of
end
Black
date,
American
they have to
man
report back to
and
the
the fucking
legislature
black men in
that this bill,
America
they
and he's owed reparations. So why
And does
the
anything
fuck would you
prevent the
stand in the way of that?
CSU from either
That's the stupidest
using their own
fucking concept
academic
I ever
genealogy
heard. Why?
or
Because it's dumb
consulting
and
outside
nobody
genealogists in the construction of the framework?
now you want to
So
call
this
other
bill allows for them
places
to
break
utilize
secret
other
lists. That's on
universities,
you.
other genealogists,
But
other
we weren't standing in
entities.
the way of it not
They are
being able
just
to do
hosts. But without
it.
this bill,
He
they
called
can
in
take the
late.
$6 million
And
and
he wasn't listening.
create
He
whatever
called
framework
in.
and
He
not
just jumped
back into
on
the
and thought he was going to
Any other
do it.
questions or
But
comments?
if they're saying the next two people in
Assemblymember
line,
Bryan.
and that's that. I mean, that they took
Madam
like
Chair,
one or two callers in between every two people.
Madam Chair,
You know what I mean? And they were like,
a
next
date on
caller, we're going
It
to
has
do
a
two
start
people,
date
and
and
we
an
call
end
it
date,
call.
which really only goes into effect
Right.
if this
You
bill
can
is
always
passed.
do our
Otherwise,
the
like I
chat,
said,
type
since
it
we've
away.
already given the
Type in
CSU
my
the $6
ass.
million,
Right? And there's
they
plenty of
can take as long as they
motherfucking
want.
I've read every page of the
you can
reparations
see that.
report cited
Okay?
in the
So it's
footnotes
not like we're
a
lying.
half dozen
We're
times in several
definitely could
sections
not do that to him.
for
Like, come
scholarship back
on,
at
cuz.
UCLA. I didn't
Like, he
see
has to see this before
a
it goes.
methodology
Like, why
for
don't we deny
determining
him that?
someone's
Like,
lineage
that's really
articulated
motherfucking
in
nefarious
the
activity
report, only
that
the
we would
question
never
about who
do.
should be eligible.
So,
Is that
for
your understanding as well?
insinuating
There
that is
was no
like a
methodology,
disrespectful
which is
slap in the
why
face.
we as a
When if
state
it
have
wasn't
given
for us,
$6 million to the
fucking message
CSU to
booth
help
Steve,
determine that
signal booth Steve,
methodology.
none of
And
these
this
fucking
bill right
Colorado
here will
didn't
give them
know that
oversight
existed.
and a framework to
If it
accomplish
wasn't
that
for
in
us,
a specific
signal boosting
time
the
frame.
new black media
There are
boosting,
disagreements
none
from
of
some
these
folks
motherfuckers
about
in
the best
Colorado
way
ever
to
tried
go
to
about
steal
doing
that shit
this.
for just
Um,
bringing it here. right? And right in their fucking way
this is
because
the
they
best
got
way to
this
do it.
shit in the media and they're like, oh, he
Correct.
live onto something, and they try to fucking,
I
you
believe this
know,
is the
ride
best
his
way to
way.
do it. The
But
California
that's
Live
because
Black
they're doing
Caucus
the
believes
work
this is the best
like
way to
every
do it,
other
and I
person
believe
should
that
be
when you give
doing
money to an
in their
institution to
respective
do this,
states.
you should
Seems
have
like
a
we're the only
framework and
motherfuckers that are
oversight
on here.
and the
Sorry, but
ability
they're not
to
sorry.
hold
You
them
know what I mean?
accountable, and that's what this bill
So
does.
if it
Thank you, Madam
wasn't
Chair.
for us signal boosting constantly, and we were
Thank you,
spreading the
Chair.
news far and
So
wide,
I just want to
like
kind of
President Scott,
reconcile
every fucking
the
day,
two sides here.
none of
So
these
the
fuckers would know.
professional genealogists believe
Right? If it wasn't
this
for other
bill is
content
not necessary
creators,
because
because
information
what we listen to, we show
is
every
readily
fucking video.
available within
He
minutes,
wouldn't have known. And they
essentially,
would have been calling in and
to
Twitter
do a search
trying to check our shit.
process.
Come on, cuz if you
Am
wasn't
I
for us,
stating
you
that?
wouldn't even know about it.
It's not just that the information is
And it's not
readily
personal.
available. It's that we
Fucking
have
personal.
a
You have
proven
no business being
methodology.
personal.
This
You
is a
have no
book that I
business.
purchased 20 years
You're
ago,
just trying to put
Professional
yourself in a
Genealogy.
position to be
Genealogists have
upset.
been
You want to
doing
be
this
mad
for
about something,
decades.
be
So
mad
we
about it,
have
but don't
an
take it out on
established proven method. We
right?
have a
Don't take it out on the
framework for
fucking
how.
message
So there's no need for the
fucking
CSUs
ideations
to be
and
involved. They don't
leeches
have,
and
I
your
think you
fucking
mentioned that
lineage.
their
You
own
know, God, good
genealogists. They don't
goddamn
have
well.
their own
Your own
genealogists.
reparations.
I'm
Right? So when that
board
shit
chair of the
happens,
African American Genealogy Society of Northern
that shit happens,
California.
I was
We've
like,
been around
this is
since
so fucked up.
1996, and we teach the
Because it's wrong
methodology.
and
So
it's hurtful.
it's not
It's
that
like we do this with the
I
Antifa.
disagree that
Can't
the
do that, man. Why? That's
CSUs
so disrespectful. Why
need
would you do that?
to
He's a
create a
horrible
framework
person.
or study how to create a framework for
First of all,
something that
he's
we
our
already
elder.
know how to do.
Why would
In
we
my
do him
personal
dirty like
opinion,
that when we've been holding down the show
I
for
would
30
think it would be
motherfucking years?
better
Right?
if
He types it up every
need to get
motherfucking.
involved,
You know how much
work with the
dysfunction me and him
genealogy
have
to
because
create
of the show?
because it's in these
We
that
can't, you know what I mean? He puts
the
his
words
show
keep coming
before
up as
me.
far as
He has a before.
of the
3
making
years
it
ago.
valid and making sure that there's
3 years of
credibility and
discussion ago, right?
oversight and all of
I
this stuff.
say she is
If you're
everything.
concerned about
I say to
credibility,
him,
work with
3
the
years
genealogy
motherfucking because that shit comes before
societies.
us.
A
We
certification
can't be
program.
before us. So
That
for
would
that
be
to
better.
happen is
If
not
there's
disrespectful.
such a concern over gene, because it seems to me like there's a concern that us as genealogists, there's an issue with us doing the research versus the
This is
CSUs.
important, family.
If that's your
I'm
concern,
gonna
then
wind
have
it a
the
little bit.
CSUs work with us to create a certification program
Because
according to how the state wants to frame it. So that way,
Other questions or comments? Assembly Member Brian?
Madam Chair,
Brian.
Mr. Madam Chair of the caucus, did you end date on it?
It has a start date and an end date, which really only goes into effect if this bill is passed. Otherwise, like I said, since we've already given the CSU the $6 million, they can take as long as they want.
I read every page of the reparations report,
They're already
cited
putting money
in
out there.
footnotes a half dozen times in several sections for scholarship back at UCLA. I didn't see a methodology for determining someone's lineage articulated in the report, only the question about who should be eligible. Is that your understanding as well?
There was no methodology, which is why we as a state have given $6 million to the CSU to help determine that methodology. And this bill right here will give them oversight and a framework to accomplish that in a specific time frame.
There are disagreements from some folks about the best way to go about doing this. You believe this is the best way to do it, correct?
I believe this is the best way to do it. The California Live Black Caucus believes this is the best way to do it. And I believe that when you give money to an institution to do this, you should have a framework and oversight and the ability to hold them accountable. And that's what this bill does.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Chair. So I just want to kind of reconcile the two sides here. So the professional genealogists believe this bill is not necessary because information is readily available within minutes, essentially, to do a search process. Am I stating that?
it's not just that the information is readily available. It's that we have a proven methodology. This is a book that I purchased 20 years ago, Professional Genealogy. Genealogists have been doing this for decades. So we have an established proven method. We have a framework for how, so there's no need for the CSUs to be involved. They don't have, I think you mentioned that they're their own genealogists. They don't have their own genealogists. I'm board chair of the African American Genealogy Society of Northern California. We've been around since 1996, and we teach the methodology. So it's not that I disagree that the CSUs need to create a framework or study how to create a framework for something that we already know how to do. In my personal opinion, I would think it would be better if CSUs need to get involved, work with the genealogy to create, because the issue in these that the words keep coming up as far as of the making it valid and making sure that there's credibility and oversight and all of this stuff. If you're concerned about credibility, work with the genealogy societies. A certification program that would be better. If it's a concern over because it seems to me like there's a concern that us as genealogists, there's an issue with us doing the research versus the CSUs. If that's your concern, then have the CSUs work with us to create a certification program according to how the state wants to frame it. So that way, there is no issue. There is no concern with us doing the work, because clearly there are many, and I do many.
Okay, follow-up question.
I'm sorry, I just want to, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just want to clarify that in this bill, it would allow the CSUs to work with outside genealogists.
Okay.
Like the individual who's testing in opposition.
Okay, okay, thank you very much, Senator. In your binder there, the work that you've done since 1996, have you been specifically researching the genealogy of descendants of slaves in California?
The organization's been around since 1996. I have been a genealogist the last 24 years, and yes, that is exactly what.
So is that repository of information, is that available today?
Yes. Yes, and I you know, when we talk about methodologies, the methodologies that we teach people, start with yourself, work your way backwards, talk to your oldest living relatives if possible, gather resources, Bibles, obituaries, funeral programs, things of that nature, and then develop research questions. We go over these things all the time. Develop the research, then learn and identify the available resources that are out there. There's a lot of public information that's already out there. We teach people how to we teach people how to go data archives, where all this information is. And then when, in fact, rinse and repeat, go right back to the information. You develop more research questions, which will then lead to more research.
So you have documented information on the descendants, thoroughly investigated, researched through that methodology you just described.
Absolutely. I wrote an entire book on it.
So I guess that question, Senator, why do we need, if we already have resource data that identifies, and that is the foundational element to determine reparations, if that were to go forward, what more would this bill and your other bill do to create that database of information?
Well, the other bill is different. So print that. On the recommendation from the force, and in the task force, as was stated by Assemblymember Bryan, there was no clear, there was nothing in there to say this is how you should determine someone's lineage. Therefore, the state, we have given the CSU $6 million already to develop a methodology for this and work with the universities, work with genealogists, so that it is reasonable. As a state, because we are concerned about oversight of funds, I don't think you or anyone else want to give money away to something we have no oversight. We have oversight into the CSU system, and that's why it's very broad in terms of who they can and should work with in order to create a method that works for everyone, regardless of if you know your mother, your father, your sister, your brother, or you don't.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Senator Bryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Chair, is there anything in your bill that precludes the CSUs from contracting and bringing in experts like this gentleman right here?
No.
And so we know Michael Willis in foster care in closed cases who don't know their biological parents, or maybe second generation foster children because their parents were also in the system. how do you determine their lineage?
That, because they have absolutely no knowledge and maybe no evidence of who their parents were, that's where you would have to rely on genetic genealogy. And with genetic genealogy, they would, once they take a test for, let's just say, for example, Ancestry.com, when they take the test, it's going to show them a list of all of the relatives who've also taken the test, who they're related to. And that we would have to start, it would be an investigation of starting with the most closely related relatives in the database, because it sorts them from the most closely related to the most distant. So if they have second or third cousins in there, we start with that, and at that point, you're doing traditional genealogy. You have to identify those individuals and trace their ancestries back and see where the pedigrees merge to common ancestors. So you're still going to do genealogy.
Is there? No. I've got different. One of my uncles is a genealogist who traced back family going way, way back.
Okay.
Familiar with some of the steps, but I do think for some of those cases, it is tricky and unique, and it doesn't appear that there is kind of a standard accepted method. For example, you just mentioned Ancestry.com. Is that like the partner for genealogists? Because no, and that's me. And sells data to private companies, and the Department of Justice is actually suing them, or trying to prevent them being acquired by the private company who might have nefarious means. And I think that's part of what the chair is trying to.
But I don't see I don't see where the CSUs have anything to do with that.
I think regardless of the CSUs or otherwise, I think there is not a different way for all people who have to not routes. Which tool of the DNA testing is more? Should there be some sort of public tool?
So is the state going to develop a DNA testing?
I think all of those are the questions that I think yourself and scholars and others who are experts in this field need to quickly. How do we produce information into this process and verify it and validate it, and use the traditional methods that exist once you start going down that pathway? And I think I think those are the things that, and I don't want to speak for the author, trying to grapple with. What's the best way to keep people as safe as possible, as valid as possible? Information currently exists, and not leave major gaps hanging, because we know the systems that have erased our history come from that same history of family erasure and last name erasure, culture erasure, that is a direct afterlife of slavery. So that's not really a question. That's me doing my best to understand where my colleague is coming from, and want to thank y'all for the conversation.
And I respect your concerns, and your concerns are very valid. We have leading experts in genetic genealogy. One I can name in particular, Blaine Bettinger, who's written books about the methodologies involved in tracing genealogy. And these are the concerns that in our industry we face all the time. And we do talk about how to address them. There are multiple companies. It's not just Ancestry, not just 23. There's MyHeritage, there's Family Tree DNA. Yes, there would be, and we can give our expertise and advice on which tools that we think are the best. We're impartial to all of them, but what happened with 23andMe, it's sad. It's a tragedy. And I do respect your concerns on that.
And I'm looking forward to getting to know you on a personal level and better understanding
absolutely,
how your expertise can help perform this process, because I think we're doing really important things.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
Thank you all. We do have a motion on the table, and I think the conversation indicates that and it's very common at the state level to find a state agency. It could be a CSU, it could be a department, to actually be the one that oversees this type of process. And that's what's happening here. I think that you clearly have great expertise, and I hope you do stay connected with the author and offer some of the other folks that you might know, so that when it does get set up at the CSU, they actually have genealogists that are experts that can help to create that framework. I don't think there's a conflict here. I can understand frustration from the community, seeing that, this is just going to delay the process. The reality is, if you don't have a framework, there is no process. And so I think with that, I would offer the opportunity for the senator to close.
Well, thank you very much, Chair. I want to definitely thank you for your closing remarks because you are spot on. I want to thank the members of the committee for your questions and your dialogue. I want to thank my fellows CLBC member, Assemblymember Bryan, for bringing up the other issue, which is why it was very important to put it at a CSU, which deals with privacy. And unfortunately, what we're seeing with some of these private companies is that when they start to lose money, the first thing they do is look to sell off some of their information, which unfortunately is genetic information of those who have put their trust in them to run their lineage. And so this is actually a very important bill. It's what we talk about all the time in the legislature, which is about establishing guidelines, oversight, giving clear start dates, end dates, ensuring that when we're giving money out, when we're tasking an agency, at this point, is the CSU for this particular bill, with a specific task, that it's very clear what we want them to do, that they are required to come back and give us reports. And yet we also give them the flexibility to work with others outside of the CSU that may be more experts in that particular area. And so with that, respectfully ask for an aye vote on SB 437. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motions do pass to appropriations. Calra?
Aye.
Calra, aye. Dixon? Dixon, no. Barricayhan? Bryan? Bryan, aye. Connolly? Connolly, aye. Harabedian? Macedo? Pacheco? Pappen? Sanchez? Sanchez, no. Stephanie? Stephanie, aye. Zabur? Zabur, aye.
Bill, place that bill on call. The next bill up is item 10, SB 518.
Well, thank you. Good morning, Chair and esteemed members of the committee. Still excited to get the opportunity to talk with you about SB 518, which is also a priority bill for the California Legislative Black Caucus. I will be accepting the committee amendments today. Thank you very much for that. Just like SB 437, SB 518 is rooted in the recommendations of the California Reparations Task Force, which developed a comprehensive roadmap to begin addressing the lasting harms of slavery and systemic discrimination in our state. The task force was established by Assembly Bill 3121 in 2020. They spent several years conducting research, gathering public testimony, and analyzing the historical and ongoing impacts of slavery and related discriminatory policies here in California. In its final report, the task force documented the continuing harm of these injustices that have caused families and communities across generations. Among the key recommendations of the task force was the establishment of a centralized state agency, a permanent institution tasked with overseeing, coordinating, and implementing reparative policies and programs for those who can demonstrate lineage to people enslaved in the United States. SB 518 brings that recommendation to life by creating the Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery. The Bureau will include initially several key divisions: a genealogy division, which will assist individuals in tracing their ancestry, utilizing the most appropriate methodology as determined by the efforts like those outlined in SB 437, a property reclamation division, which will examine and document cases where land or property was unjustly taken due to racially discriminatory practices and provide a pathway for resolution, an outreach and education division and legal affairs division, which will facilitate public engagement, education, and provide legal guidance to support the Bureau's mission. Through this structure, SB 518 creates a permanent institutional foundation for the state's reparative work, ensuring that these issues are not only acknowledged, but addressed through sustained and effective programs and services. SB 518 is supported by the Alliance for Reparations, Reconciliation, and Truth, the Greater Sacramento Urban League, the California Hawaii State Conference of the NAACP, California Faculty Association, Western Center on Law and Poverty, members of the California Reparations Task Force, and numerous advocacy and community-based organizations. With me are Tanisha Harry, Government Relations Specialist for the California NAACP, and Don Tamaki, a member of the California Reparations Task Force and longtime advocate for equity and justice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning again. I just want to state that California has long been a leader in addressing historical inequities, and SB 518 builds on that legacy. SB 518 is a critical step towards ensuring accountability and fairness for descendants of enslaved individuals in California. By creating the Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery, this bill establishes a structured process for verifying eligibility for state-authored benefits designed to address historical and systemic racial disparities. For too long, descendants of enslaved people have faced barriers to economic and social mobility due to generations of discriminatory policies, wealth deprivation, and racial exclusion. This bill ensures that those directly affected by the legacy of slavery and its aftermath receive the benefits and reparative measures that California is implementing. By supporting SB 518, the state conference is advocating for a formalized process to verify eligibility for state programs aimed at descendants of enslaved people, ensuring resources are properly distributed, and recognition of historical injustices, and a commitment to targeted solutions that specifically address the harms done to Black communities, greater accountability in implementing reparative policies, preventing misuse or misallocation of resources meant for affected individuals. This bill is a necessary and responsible measure to ensure California's efforts at racial and economic justice are effective, targeted, and impactful for communities most in need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Morning, Chair Culver, members of the Judiciary Committee. Again, my name is Don Tamaki. I served as one of the members of the California Reparations Task Force. After 2 years of work, the task force presented its groundbreaking 1,100-page report drawing a through line covering 400 years from enslavement to Jim Crow to exclusion, and decades more of discrimination resulting in today's disparities, for which we made over 115 recommendations to repair the lingering harms which descendants of U.S. chattel slavery had to suffer, and to address historical and ongoing systemic injustices. Senate Bill 518 is in alignment with the task force report, Chapter 18, pages 633 and 634, recommending the formation of a bureau as the infrastructure necessary to effectuate the task force's recommendations. My community, the Japanese American community, has some experience with bureaus. I was involved in the movement for reparations for Japanese Americans incarcerated in concentration camps. I was part of the legal team that reopened the U.S. Supreme Court case Korematsu versus the United States, long remembered as a civil liberties disaster. The Civil Liberties Act of 1988 established a bureau, the Office of Redress Administration, to verify eligibility, to administer benefits, and to educate the public of this wrong. Likewise, it is crucial that California establishes a similar framework to carry out the reparative policies passed by the legislature. Of course, this would include a standardized process for determining eligibility, identification of persons whose property was unjustly seized, public education to shine a light on this cascading, cumulative, and continuing harm flowing from redlining and displacement, and legal resources in order to address these persistent harms that impact the community as a whole. Support. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else here in support of SB 518?
Because if she was, then she would know that this method is not going to bring the result.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members and staff. Mitch Steiger with CFT, a union of educators and classified professionals, also on support.
Thank you.
Solution, I have the answer.
Good morning, Marshall Arnold, and support. Thank you.
Thank you.
They don't.
Monet Jennings on behalf of the Greater Sacramento Urban League in full support. Thank you.
Thank you.
I know.
Good morning, Jabari Sanders with Calais, California, as well as on behalf of the Black Power Network with the Alliance for Reparations, Reconciliation, and Truth, and strong support. Thank you.
And overly entitled to do the foolery. And because
Good morning, Benjamin Henderson, on behalf of the Western Bar High in
then it was allowed to continue hurting.
Hi, Eric Paredes with the California Faculty Association and support.
Thank you.
They don't represent the collective
Right,
Black Power in Denver.
Anyone in
Respect
opposition to SB 518?
That's it. That's all. They ruin people's chance to be heard.
Good morning again, Chair and members. My name is Chris Lawson, here again on behalf of the Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, the state's original grassroots reparations advocacy organization, and we rise in strong opposition to SB 518. The bill itself presents three serious problems that must not be overlooked. First, SB 518 duplicates and overlaps with what we just heard, SB 437. Both bills propose competing processes for genealogical verification, one through the DOJ and the other through the CSU system. So which is it? This overlap only guarantees delay, bureaucracy, and confusion, the exact opposite of the decisive action we need. Second, as mentioned, this bill proposes to house the new Bureau for Descendants of American Slavery inside the California Department of Justice, one of the country's biggest law enforcement bodies. This means the most sensitive data about our families and identities could be controlled by the same institutions that have historically harmed us. The risk of surveillance, misuse, or breaches is not theoretical. It's real and it's dangerous. No reparation system should run through law enforcement, period. Lastly, and perhaps most offensively, this bill expands the Bureau's scope beyond descendants to include, quote, other communities. That's a betrayal. That disrespects our history, it ignores the specificity of our harm, and violates the clear recommendations of the Reparations Task Force to keep reparations lineage-based. Chair and members, for these reasons and more, we respectfully ask you to vote no or don't vote on SB 518. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in opposition to SB 518?
Okay, anybody who is a descendant and has any intelligence or knowledge would not be supporting a bill that would put our...
Thank you, ma'am. Name and if you're with an organization and your position on the bill, please.
Okay, my name is Constance French. Mothers on a Mission to Save Our Children. Department of Justice, come on. I mean, just common sense.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it.
Of what we're supposed to be doing with reparations.
Lynette Jackson, California, including I'm emphatically opposed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, again, my name is Darlene Crumity, and also on behalf of our Bay Area, LEAP, and CBLC, as well as my great-great-grandparents, Zoe Dupree, 1836 to 1913, Dublin R. Rose, 1820 to 1894, we respectfully ask you to vote no.
Thank you.
Yes, over CJ. California, I oppose SB 518. Thank you.
This is our time.
Good morning again. Kim Mims, Coalition for a Just and Equitable California, ARC Sacramento branch, and Amend the Mass Media Group in strong opposition to SB 518. Respectfully, I ask for a no vote.
Thank you.
Good morning again, Molly Lyon with the Coalition for Just and Equitable California, strongly opposed SB 518.
Aisha Kareem, Stockton, and opposed. Thank you.
All right, we'll bring it back to committee for any questions, comments, or motions. We have a motion. And
clarification, and I'll ask the author let me just state what I think I understand. So this is to create within the Department of Justice this body of information that comes from the CSU study. Are the two related in that way?
So that is one part of this bureau. The genealogy division is one part, and the amendments from this committee, which I know you have, and hopefully they've read as well, clarify any question of any conflict with the previous vote.
Okay. And as creating the Department of Justice as the repository of all this personal information, may I ask the witness, I heard your comments. Is that a concern? Is that something that should be protected? Had you had this previous discussion before?
Right, thank you so much for that. So the Department of Justice worked very closely with the California Reparations Task Force, and actually were the ones that produced the 1,100 plus page report. Very knowledgeable about the things that have occurred the history, the things that need to happen. Additionally, they have the legal support for any issues where someone may need some legal assistance. We are in continued conversations with the Department of Justice and a couple of other departments, so this may not be where it ultimately lands, but as of right now, this is where it is, and the Department of Justice has done tremendous work in the area of reparations here in California. Okay.
Can I address your question?
Sure.
So just if I could, address your question, member, and thank you for the question, by the way, Vice Chair. So I was at every single California Reparations Task Force hearing, every single moment of them. And I can tell you from personal experience that with respect to the DOJ, and I know a lot of the staff there, a lot of the staff did great work, but there were serious concerns and serious problems with the DOJ's involvement in the California Reparations Task Force process. From day one, actually, from the first hearing, and that, Member Tamaki, you're here, you can speak to this too. There were serious problems with the DOJ's involvement in the California Reparations Task Force process. So that's the first point. Second point is, the senator's correct. Yeah, the DOJ knows a lot about the problem because they were a part of creating the problem in the first place. They're part of the reason why we need reparations in the first place. Okay? Why would you put our reparations process inside of the states and the country's largest law enforcement body? It's disrespectful. It's a little racist, to be quite honest with you. Okay? You put the black people stuff.
All right, Senator Bryan.
You put the black people stuff inside of the department. Okay,
I'm
so
sorry, are you?
Yeah.
The chair's question, and with
Mr. Waxman, there's no further question posed to you, but if there is one, we'll go ahead. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
How dare y'all cut them off? Let's just tell us how racist y'all are.
The final point is, again, with the and it's need to be addressed before these bills move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Assembly Member Bryan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's good to see Chris. I think when we're talking about the protection of data, I think that's part of the conversation Mike and I were just having. And I don't disagree with the Department of Justice being a complicated, and in fact, prosecutors and federal prosecutors and all of them have been very complicated for the history of Black folks. And working with them, the former assembly members are not as a complicated position to be in. The Department of Office or the Division of Rights, current Division of Civil Rights, in transition into a Department of Civil Rights in 2022. Right now, it's my understanding that there's no money in the state budget for either an agency or a division or a bureau, which means if anything is to get established, it's probably going to be some incredible lifting from the Black Caucus, because that's ongoing funds. We're not talking about one-time money. We're talking about ongoing money during a deficit. I think building infrastructure is important, and refusing to build infrastructure or stopping any step towards building that infrastructure, whether it's a division, wherever, Madam Chair, you decide to put a bureau, whether it's in the Department of Civil Rights, the Department of Justice, or some other place that you think it belongs as you scale up to a full-blown agency. I think that's part of how government infrastructure gets built. And my bigger fear is that neither happens because of distractions this year and the easy out to not do anything budgetarily because folks are confused by this. And so you have my full and the advocacy of you and the members of the Black Caucus can secure ongoing funding to build this and other infrastructure, because as has been mentioned, many other should not delay any further. And I think it's put down for the state efforts, and I'm hoping there's bills coming down that include priorities for Black Californians, and that's certainly what I know your focus is through the remainder of this session. Thank you.
Thank you.
May I add one thing in defense of the Department of Justice?
Briefly.
Part of the, the member, and it produced a magnificent, monumental piece of work. This 1,100-page report will be referenced in California and nationwide.
Yep.
And these are folks who work day and night to put this together. This Department of Justice was really responsible for the success of the task force, and it would not have been possible for
Thank
its
you.
efforts.
Any other questions or comments? Well, I do want to thank the author. And look, you know, everything about our democracy, or at least as long as we have it, is complicated. The same Supreme Court that decided the Dred Scott case is the same Supreme Court that decided Brown versus Board of Education. The same Department of Justice that has imposed cruelty upon Californians over many generations is the same one that is suing the Trump administration now over 24 lawsuits trying to maintain birthright citizenship, trying to stand up for DEI, trying to stand up for our communities. Those are the tools that we have, and they represent who we are, whether for the good, the bad, the ugly. And there have been times in our history they've absolutely represented the ugly. We're trying to use those same tools for good. And to Assemblymember Bryan's point, you know, especially within the civil rights department division, there's huge opportunities for us to have a well-resourced operation. There have been guardrails put in place through amendments to ensure that the data and what is being warehoused there is used for the specific purpose of the intentions of the reparations task force and the work that's going to be going moving forward. And so I do think that we will be, this is my personal opinion, I think we'll be far more successful if we unite behind resources to be put towards the effort as it moves forward. But you know, everyone has the right to their own opinion, and that's what we're hearing here, and that's fine. I personally think that we have a huge opportunity here to be able to move forward under the leadership and guidance of our chair of the Black Caucus and members of the Black Caucus, and working with the community, working with genealogists, working with our Department of Justice to ensure that we get to that promise of what the task force, the reparations task force report is putting forth, and eventually getting reparations in to community members that deserve it. I would like to be added as the co-author, if that is okay with the author. Would you like to close?
Thank you. I want to really thank all those who have participated in this discussion. Absolutely love to have you as a co-author, Chair. You have been a strong supporter of the California Legislative Black Caucus. My colleague, Vice Chair Bryan, for his comments. Respectfully urge for your support for SB 518. This is a critical, responsible, and much needed and much delayed step towards addressing enduring harms of slavery and systemic racism right here in California. This bill establishes the infrastructure needed to move from recommendations to real implementation, ensuring that California leads with both accountability and action. As we all are aware, we are currently in a huge deficit. Establishing this agency as a standalone at this point is not economically feasible. Placing it at this point in an institution that has resources and knowledge to assist with its beginning steps so that we do not have to delay until California is on a better financial footing is critical and extremely important for the members of the California Legislative Black Caucus. The amendments, which I have taken, deal with any discrepancies or questions as to whether or not SB 437 conflicts with SB 518, so thank you very much for that. And like I said, we are in continuing conversations to figure out where this bureau will
Change your
eventually
motherfucking
land,
ambiguous
but we
motherfucking
definitely know
language. You
that it
get on
must
go.
land. And for that, I respectfully ask for an aye vote on SB 518.
Thank you.
Motions do pass as amended to appropriations. Cholera?
Aye.
Cholera, aye. Dixon? Dixon, no. Bauer-Cahan? Bauer-Cahan, aye. Bryan? Bryan, aye. Connolly?
Tragic, sad.
Connolly, aye. Herabedian? Macedo?
Shout out.
Pacheco?
Say fuck that.
Pappin?
Fuck no.
Sanchez? Sanchez, no. Stephanie?
No.
Stephanie, aye. Zabur? Zabur, aye.
Oh, I'll place that on hold. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we have Senator Perez, SB 52. And I know that we just had some bills that had a lot of conversation, but at this pace, we'll be done at 5 p.m. So just
Okay, we got the point because we're out. We're out anyway. We were like, fuck this, fuck that, fuck you. You just always constantly disrespecting us, man. Like, bitch, you serve us. Like, get on code.
Right.
Like, this is some real shit. Like, we're starting to, like, don't play on our top like this. Like, it's like we don't got the money. The funding is not there. It's critical that you understand that. And what I understand is you spend money on other shit. You spend money on other pointless shit that don't fucking benefit fucking FBA at all.
Money on fucking illegal immigrants.
Illegal immigrants, okay? All right, let's talk about one we're gonna try to do.
The house clothes, feed them, and fucking give them health care.
Right. Stand with them while they're getting fucking, while they're over there protesting and fucking whatever. But you don't do that for us. Nobody gives a fuck about us, right? All right, keep that energy. Keep it nice and warm. Okay. Now, family, I'm going to talk about, we're gonna watch a little bit of the opposition of the Carmelo Anthony thing, okay? This is going on the black conservatives, fucking black MAGAs, the motherfucking, the non-codified motherfuckers that ain't with us. Now, I'm going to give my perspective on this whole subject, and I even did a little research, so I'm kind of looking into one other thing, but it's a contentious discussion, right? Because FBA, us as a collective, chose to donate money for proper defense. Now, keep in mind, none of the shit they talking about is really true. So you go look it up yourself. Look it up, right? Do your own research. Don't believe me. Just do the research, right? But I'm like the fucking master of created doubt. Okay, I'm the master of doubt. I create doubt out of anything, and that's a fucking fact. So, in my mind, I stand with our decisions because we didn't make a wrong decision ultimately. But I want to look. I was told some inside shit, but I was told something, but I was like, where's that information so I can verify it? So before I spill information I'm not really true to, I will share the only stuff that I do know, which is very simple, which everybody else can look into. You know what I mean? And that's it. The money wasn't touched. It was still in the fucking thing. And the statements are statements because motherfuckers don't read or they don't listen. That's not on anybody. Okay, except for their own fucking lack of patience and wanting to read or educate themselves or actually open their ears and listen. Okay, you might hear, listen, you know what I mean? Or you weren't listening to every single word or read every word diligently, you know what I mean? And it goes into motherfucking the conflict, the argument is that people are using these donational sites to fund their legal stuff or whatever, but they're used for whatever. Charity, motherfucking anything. I got one for my fucking moving thing, you know what I mean? I need to move. I can't afford it because, I'm an American citizen that gotta, jump through hoops and loops just to get my shit turned back on and get denied at every fucking turn and gotta fucking damn near get on my hands and knees and kiss the ring. You know what I mean? Like, that's how it is for us. That's how it is for us. Like, we're victims of racism, white supremacy, and fucking prisoners of war. They don't give a shit. We gotta fight for it. You know what I mean? Where everybody else can come in and it's fucking gifts, love, fucking free money, nice places. These motherfucking invaders lived better than us. They were living good, cuz they get to complain in the motherfucking shelters. They get to move on. And let me take this off the thing now. Now you can hear me. Oops, my fault. You know what I mean? They was living their best fucking free life. And then they had the audacity to go to our city council and complain that they're not getting enough. But when we complain that we just want the fucking bare minimums of everybody else, fuck us. We're doing too much. We're doing way too much. We're always asking for shit. No, because we're asking for the right shit that we never get. We're asking for fucking better treatment. We're asking for, like, we'll just use the shelters, for example. Like, we've been here. We're fucking citizens in here. And these motherfuckers come, oh my God, can't live like this, can't eat this, can't do that, can't sleep there. Oh, hello. No, you go ahead and get violated in that. You can get your shit stolen. Men gotta hide their shit near their privates and sleep all tucked in, so they keep their shoes in their backpack. Yeah, the food is not even This has no caloric value in the motherfucking food. Not to mention it's old as fuck, and they let rats crawl all over it. All right, so you got motherfucking people, and like I said, y'all don't be paying attention to me. I did a whole live about the fucking ill treatments of men in the motherfucking shelter that everybody and their mama fucking know about. But what the council do? Prove it and give them more motherfucking money, and then try to act like they had a conscience. For the last 3 months, they've been acting like they have a motherfucking conscience. They don't. They don't. They're gonna have to live with this shit. If they did have a conscience, the karmic debt that is gonna come to them is gonna be epic. But not to mention, the people are pissed, right? So we place them, and as we can unseat them. If they haven't learned by this whole Democratic Party that we done shut down, we can unvote them, right? The migrants didn't vote, and no matter what happens, cause all these motherfuckers are fast tracked. They didn't go through it the right way. So even if they were allowed to vote, their shit is null and void. Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't count. You know what I mean? But they did that. And there's money for this shit. There's money for these reparation task forces to proceed on their research or whatever the fuck they're doing. There's money to pay our genealogists, right? Because we have plenty of FBA genealogists out there. Just dude, Malevol's dad, he's a genealogist. He's doing this shit in his free time. Okay, well, just as a hobby, he just like to know where people come from. Really? So yeah, my Baba, man, rest in power. You know what I mean? He was a genealogist from South Africa, like brilliant fucking man, as long as a preacher as well as a whole bunch of shit, right? He just passed away, rest in power. However, we have natural FBA motherfucking genealogists, cause like Mike TV doing genealogy, and he doing it for a decent rate. Well, shout out to Mike TV. You know what I mean? Like shit, try to get my bread up. You know what I mean? But it's real shit though, family, real shit. So no, we want our own people in there. That's the right thing to do. And no, we don't want to be a part of their motherfucking agency, because that means we're still property of them. Like, you realize that's why they keep calling us immigrants is fucking nothing, you know? Because we weren't recognized as motherfucking citizens, or let alone residents. Oh, you hear me? So we're property. That's how it's always been. Chattel. We're property, okay? No real shit. It's not a joke. I'm like making little giggles because Jesse was antagonizing me back there. But we're property. That's how they see us. That's how they've always seen us. There's something they could tokenize, profit off of our fucking shames, plight, fucking deaths, everything. And even our own fucking people can't be trusted, right? So everybody's like consciously off code on purpose, consciously unaccepting of what's fucking happening. The revolution is here. We in it. We in war. We are at fucking war with everybody. And no, we're not caping for nobody. Unless it fucking involves us, we're not caping for nobody. And this is one of those cases that we're caping for, kind of in a weird way, but quietly, as we watch it play out. The Carmelo and Anthony thing, right? And this is important because right around that same time, Shiloh came before him or after him? Yeah, the Shiloh thing, right? That bitch, that fucking racist ass bitch that fucking had the audacity to have her little fucking shitlet in her hand while she called a little black boy who's on the spectrum, that hard word that everybody needs to slap somebody in the mouth for saying, you know what I mean? Doing 5-year-old things in the park. She had the audacity calling out his race, right? And she had the audacity to act like we're fragile, right? And she raised money to no fucking NBA sister fights like that bitch, you know what I mean? I'm just speculating. I mean, that's what I would do, right? Because you don't get away with that type of shit. He's a baby. He can't even defend himself. You know what I mean?
You called her right?
Hmm?
She's everything but a child of God.
She's not here. She's not. That's what if you drag her up to Walmart, it ain't gonna be no big thing. I'm not fucked up with it.
Bitch said she wasn't Minnesota.
That bitch is over. You could tell where she didn't go very far. She just kept going wherever black people are. Okay? And so wherever that is, just keep following the train. Wherever that brought is, she went north, right? So listen, like she got away with that. And she was so proud. I showed it on the RVA, y'all. I showed how she said she got every red cent, right, on the same fucking thing. And nobody was trying to say, no, this bitch can't have it. I mean, if there were, it was very low minimal. You know what I mean? Like nobody. But where we were, when it comes to him, you got that attorney general trying to fucking lock the little boy up. You know what I mean? There's a lot of fucked up shit going on where he's black and they want to give him the fucking worst. You know what I mean? And regardless of what happens, he's still a young man. Like, he's not even 21. He's only barely 18. You see what I'm saying? So what the shit that they're trying to issue is a bad look on his name, but it's not his fault. It's the parents. If you wanted to believe the rhetoric, you did, then you would blame the parents. But ultimately, the shit hadn't been touched, so the shit could get reversed if it was like that. But I'm gonna go ahead and play some videos because, first of all, I didn't even know these motherfuckers existed. So my brother, Mr. Contradict me on everything. He was supposed to argue, so he turned me on to a couple of things. I don't listen to this kind of shit because these are black conservatives that act like white people, in my opinion. Yeah, the conservatives. Yeah, like they, you know, they're just in black skin. Yeah, that's it. They're in black skin, black looking people. Right, like Vicky does say, black looking people. But ultimately, their judgments and opinions are on big ass motherfucking platforms, right? For them. And to me, it's even more disrespectful because regardless, these motherfuckers are probably foundationals, or maybe not even, maybe a couple of them are tethers, who knows? I mean, some of them got really far back hairlines. However, the fact that they can go along and call a little boy like, he a murderer and all this extra shit, like, look here, cuz he's still a young man, and regardless of what you fucking think, motherfucker was in the community. He was taking care. Yeah, that motherfucker didn't have half the accolades that this boy. Right. But he didn't have half the accolades that this little boy has. He wasn't part of the community. He wouldn't have good ass motherfucking grades. He's not on no fucking teams. You know what I mean? He didn't have no jobs. He wasn't supporting no his fucking family. You know what I mean? He wasn't like a good kid. That's the whole point. That's why we did it. Because he's a good kid. He was a good kid. He did hard work, and he was a fucking person in the community. Yeah, he was involved in the church, right? Regardless of why we believe about that, but at least he is somebody doing good things instead of fuck things. You know what I mean? So that's why we stood up for him. That's why we did it. But you let these motherfuckers tell it, we're the fools and we're this and that. Nah, fuck that. You a stupid fool. You know what I mean? Right. These are the same motherfuckers that said Daniel Penny was a motherfucking hero. A hero, cuz he fucking killed somebody. He could have stopped it. Everybody who was right there, they could have stopped him. They could have found him guilty. That motherfucker was collecting money and everything. Shittenhouse collected money, right? All these racist white supremacists get away with shit. But when it comes to us donating on a cause that we think is worthy, nobody questioned where that money went. And nobody questioned where that money went, right? He was laughing and shit. He was doing Shittenhouse is a motherfucking freak, cuz. And not only that, but I mean, like, fuck, man, like, how humiliating, right? But it's okay. I just feel like this. This is a young man, and regardless of what happens, he was doing a lot of good things in the community. So for these off brands, like these motherfuckers that are against us, really, those are the type of people that are like enemy to us, right? Like they really are. So regardless of that, oh shit. Okay, I thought you left. Did you take the hotspot? Oh, no. No? How did I turn it on? You just been wanting me to use the hotspot this whole time, Jesse. Here, fix it. I don't know how to do it. Hold on a second. Hold on, family. Hold on, okay? Yeah, Jesse about to go do something real quick, and he's gonna leave the house. And I gotta turn it on to the hotspot. So as soon as he gets that settled, hold on a second, okay? Let me open this open up this screen right here. So I'm gonna show you some contradictory things to our narrative, right? And keep in mind, family, I haven't really been paying attention to what's going on with the new black media this week because I've been sick and I've been binge watching The Punisher. So that's actually pretty decent. I'm really sick, family, really fucking sick. I'm going to the doctor's today later, like in an hour or two, 2 hours, 3 hours. Hold on a second. Let me get the share the screen up. Oh no! Hold on. My fault. Hold on a second.
Connect to it.
No, Jesse, hold on a second. Where is it?
Go
Wait, hold on.
internet icon is
Okay.
and change it to your phone.
Where is it? What's the phone?
Model T Power G's T.
Okay. Oh man, now this shit gonna run per. Over here. Oh, okay. Hold on 1 second, family. Right back, babe. Can you give me some can you give me something like a pack of Monte or a piece of bread or something and a popsicle, please? Just hold it.
Yes.
Please. I'm about to like throw up if it's sick.
Bread, like the little bread pieces?
Like the ones you got last time.
Okay.
Right? Now you eat
the ones up front.
Yeah, eat them with the Nutella and then like a soda and a motherfucking ginger ale. Yeah. No. I don't want the same kind because this one's making me sick now. I don't know yet. Don't even worry about those. Just get like something like bread and sweet, like a soda, one of these. I drink that, but it makes me because it makes me stomach feel better. Yeah, the red one. They're over there right in the you know where they are? Like if you're going back like if you're going back to where you get the burritos at, keep walking. Where you walk, you'll pass right by the 2 liters. They'll be right there. Right on the shelf right here on the right side.
And then what do you want that's actually cold?
The cold as Dr. Pepper. If they have them, or then okay, cold as motherfucking
If they don't have them, get them out and do it again.
No, get like a Pepsi or Coke or something. Okay, hold on, family. Let me get to it. All right. So keep in mind, I'm not gonna co-sign none of this shit that we're about to listen to. Okay. But I'm gonna start with a little context. Okay.
Oh, look at this trash over there.
What trash? Okay. Sorry, family. I had to come off the camera because my eye is leaking, and my eye's leaking, and I rubbed it raw. So it's like a kind of looks like weird, you little alienish. Like it looks crusty. I look crusty. Yeah, that's one thing we gotta buy. It's gonna be soon, man. She's gonna be right here shortly. You know what I mean? Okay. Say hi to the people. Say hi, goodbye. Say hi to the people.
What's up, y'all?
Yeah, I'm
Grand
good.
Rising be my salute. Let's tap in.
Nobody's there yet. It's only two little eyeballs. Whoever those
Oh,
are.
it was me. Somebody else.
Lurking, peeking, not speaking. I know. It's fucking like 78 degrees in this motherfucker right now. Let's see. Share screen. God damn it, man. Man, hurry it up. All right. Hold on a second. Come on, open up. Right, hold on a second, family. Check this shit out. 1 second. Having trouble connecting. Well, I don't know why. I have to go. Creating, right? It's right when it's about to start getting good. Hmm?
How far is one all the way down to 2?
My family, like, I don't want to give up, but I might have to give up. It's not moving though. YouTube is acting stupid.
Stephanie I. Zabur.
Anymore. And I'm supposed to believe this is just a coincidence? Hell no. Somebody got to pull the curtain back on these parents, because to me, this ain't adding up.
The Give Send Go fundraiser. And the co-founder has stated that clearly.
That bullshit over here. Back this up.
I don't know why we are being targeted and discriminated against before a fair trial. Our son deserves the same rights under the law that everyone is afforded to.
So Carmelo Anthony's family has requested a court-appointed attorney instead of using some of the $600,000, $700,000 that they got in the GoFundMe from everyone that was feeling.
Look, the fact is, I looked it up yesterday, and the fact is, the money's still in the account. Okay. Right. So if they can't access the money, because it's not like GoFundMe, right? GoFundMe, just as soon as you donate it, which is really something I don't like personally. As soon as you donate, no matter what it is, like $2, $10, no matter what it is, that shit go to it. GoFundMe made me link an account, right? So that it could be like, whenever whoever sends anything, if they do send anything, it's always a blessing. It goes right there, like 2 days later, and say, we are depositing, let's say it's $10. We are depositing $9.41 into your account. I don't want it now. I want that shit to get to where I wanted it at. You know what I mean? So it just be siphoning off. You know what I mean? It's so fucking irresponsible, right? But that's on GoFundMe, right? Whereas Give, Set, Go is in the conditions and terms, they don't do siphoning. They don't let you trifle through your motherfucking account, just pick and dip and chip and dip into it whenever the fuck you feel like it, right? So he has to take a public defender, or else he won't get representation until it meets its goal, right? Now, so they up the goal, right? Because you got ambulance chasing motherfucking police, ambulance chasing fucking lawyers that want to charge him big money because they already know he admitted to the guilt, but they're like, well, fuck it, this is a murder case, woo, woo, woo. Okay? So they want to charge him extravagant fucking lawyer fees. That's off top. Right? That's off top. And so I'm gonna start right there. He has to get a public defender right now until they can release some of the funds and he can get an attorney, right? So he has to take it, or else he won't. If he's not able to prose his own shit, he has to take a public defender. He has to. That's just the nature of it. They got to give him some sort of representation, whether he likes it or not.
Other attorney because he had a tainted past.
Yeah, they dropped the other attorney because his past was tainted. Whatever that means. What does that mean? Sketchy? Pervert?
Like, oh yeah, this young man was being so bullied, let me give them money. Only for him to now be charged with first-degree murder, which means the jury saw something in it too, because the indictment, like, they got to see some things. And so where's that money gonna go? I'll tell you where it's gonna go. His parents are gonna live off of it while he goes to jail, because sympathetic black people, yeah, it's the truth,
like sympathetic black people
gave them free money. Why can't we be sympathetic to the right shit?
We are. That is the right shit.
As black people. Why do we get behind the wrong side of shit?
Hello, Anthony's family is broke, y'all. They broke, right? They broke. They scammed y'all again. I was saying this, and everybody was mad at me, and everybody was saying I was some type of Uncle Tom because I was telling y'all that this family is no good. That this family was using black people, was going to raise a lot of money just off the emotions of black people, because black people are emotional, and they was going to raise all this money just like Black Lives Matter did.
Because
Black Lives Matter raised millions and millions of dollars off George Floyd. And then they didn't put nothing back in the community. They didn't use the money for what they said they were going to use it for. So now Carmelo Anthony needs a public defender. After being raised over $500,000, they used it on apparently house, cars, relocation, and everything else. And now the boy can't eat the criminal. He can't eat.
He's a criminal. You see, he's a boy. But listen, let's check this out. regardless, give set go, whatever the fucking the campaign, it says right there in plain black and white, it says that the family will use it to relocate and all this extra. It says what they're going to use it for,
Right.
as well as legal defense. Okay, it says right there, plain, right
They
there.
can't use it for that. They can't even access it.
And they can't. They haven't used any of that shit because it's still in there. So how the fuck they get all this? How the fuck they get all this shit to move around in, right? But do you really blame them? Like, let's just put it. Let's really be serious. If you're using it to get a new place to live for you and your whatever family, right? Your the family, right? And you have to move out of your neighborhood because your son killed a white man. Keep in mind, he's a young black man and he killed a young white man. I mean, you don't think that they're going to be terrorized in Texas, right? I mean, just think about that. They're not going to be terrorized and hunted down and chased and shit and called all kinds of be disrespected and shit, right? And okay, and if you're saying they've got cars, wouldn't you want to trade in your vehicle for another one so you're not being followed around by racists and white supremacists?
Right.
Trying to fucking, burn your crib down and do the most?
Mail to your house.
Right. Just knocking on your door, standing out there protesting, doing the most? Right? So, I mean, wouldn't you think that was a smart, safe thing to do? Regardless of how much it cost or whatever. I mean, we know that it's going to cost something. I mean, it's got to be equatable to what they were already in, right? Okay? So, if they got to move because their young black son killed a young, the young black son killed a young white man, young white kid, right? And so now he's the criminal, he's a murderer, he's this, he's that. The other, he died in my arms, the mother crying, the father fight. They fighting on Facebook. They're doing the most, right? Right? But don't you think it would be the wise thing to switch up and change? Like, that's number one. What do we tell our children? Go different directions at home. Never go the same way. Never go to the same path.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Don't take the same routines. Just change it up a little bit. Why? Because you have to. Because it's dangerous. Because you're still black in America.
Our whole family's at risk from attack from these white supremacists. So yeah, they gotta relocate. Yeah, they gotta get new vehicles.
You know what I mean? I mean, that would just make sense. That would be like the smart thing to do instead of just passing critical judgment. They haven't even spent the money. So whatever they're allegedly doing is just alleged, and who has facts on that, right?
They act like they didn't have the money to begin with.
Exactly, cuz thank you for, instigating and helping me out. But yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Right? So like, this is all like rumors and fucking whatever. Like, where's the proof in that? Like, you know what I mean? But the other way, they said it on the thing. Them asking for more money is probably for the legal defense too,
Right.
because it's going to be stated in here that they wanted so much.
How much did Daniel Kenny raise? $2 million?
Yeah, no, the lawyers don't want so much. So to get a proper attorney, which I think that, and me personally, I think this family needs like a little bit of FBA fucking intelligence conversation and help them make a proper decision on who to choose. You know what I mean? Because if they're just by themselves, because motherfuckers don't want to touch that, because it's a bad look or whatever. I mean, that's one thing, but if we're standing by someone that we chose to get behind, that's our choice. You can't say we're fools and stupid for it. We chose for a very specific amount of reasons, right? So, that being said, I'm gonna let this play.
They don't even have good representation because the parents took the money.
They didn't take shit, still in the account.
And didn't do what they should. They should be investigated for fraud. They should be investigating for that heist that they pulled where they lied to everybody and played the victim when they had money.
Even if they had money before that, what they're asking for is legitimately a reasonable thing. Okay, because if y'all fucking shit on this, then you should have shat on the other one. I mean, like, we tried our best to shut that motherfucking Shiloh shit down, right? white supremacy did I'm white and say so, let that shit pass, right? But with this particular case, she got a lot. She got like over 800,000 or whatever. No, they was like proud of her. They was like, you know, whatever. And this bitch was like, we need to try to keep doing it. Like, come on, cuz you're just advocating for more motherfucking racism. This is stupid. Like, but they were. She's like, I got every red cent came to me. I showed it on my show. Say I didn't go back and look. You know what I mean? Like, it's a real thing. Like, so in this particular case, though, you know, we don't make mistakes. Cause if we do, it's very, very rare, right? But if we choose to do something, we know what the fuck we're getting involved in. We know how it could go and how people are. We know what this shit could change. It's not like we know exactly what the fuck happens, okay? So if we chose to get behind it, we took that risk upon ourselves. That's not to be judged or nothing. You know, motherfuckers are actively judging the family, and the family still got the money in the thing. They can't access it until they reach their goal. It said on the fucking on the go get set go is part of the terms and agreements. You know what I mean? Terms and conditions or whatever they call it. It's right there, so you can see that they don't siphon off money. They can't. You know what I mean? And then you're putting it on the boy. You know what I mean? It's not his fault. All this shit is happening to him right then at the same time. Can you imagine going home and then being terrorized at your house, and your family has to go through it for what you did, for whatever reasons you felt compelled to? You know what I mean? And then they got to go make these little comments, and you got your mama crying on this other thing because she's being accused of something, or they're being accused of something they haven't done yet with that particular money of the people. Come on now, that money is still in there. As of yesterday, it was still in there. You did? So I was like, ugh, this is just gross. It's gross behavior.
And use this money that was supposed to be used for lawyer fees, and they used it to line their own pockets.
Use meaning they've already done it.
How is Carmelo Anthony's family broke and unable to afford a lawyer?
Look,
after raising over $500,000.
What's up, y'all? Gerald here, creator of Gospel Chops and your host for this YouTube channel, back with another video. Now, y'all, it might seem like we've talked about this Carmelo Anthony case ad nauseum, but more information keeps coming out week after week about this case. Can you imagine the kind of circus it's going to be when it actually gets to trial? And why would it go to trial? Because a grand jury in Collin County, Texas has brought a first-degree murder charge against Carmelo Anthony in the unaliving of one Austin Metcalf. And it seems, y'all, that even in this tragedy, that is, in my opinion, a tragedy any way you look at it, no matter what side you're on, no matter what angle you look, there is tragedy in the set of facts that surround this case.
You ain't gonna tell facts.
But the BLACC seem to be learning a lesson. That's right. Might be surprising to some of y'all, but they are coming out on their social media accounts, Instagrams and Twitters and TikToks. Everywhere you find the BLACC, you find a voice somewhere that is opining on this case saying, look, we are upset with this sort of circumstances that the parents are coming out now and saying, we need more money. Oh.
You gotta have
Is that all it takes for the BLACC to get it through their head, to get finessed a little bit, to get fleeced a little bit out your cash? Because I know.
Okay, this isn't like fucking Dr. Umar and shit. That had never happened. Okay, that's a Dr. Umar fleeced, right? But no, that's not what happened. We know as FBAs, intelligent motherfucking Black individuals. Okay, we know, we've listened, we heard, we chose, we made a decision. We did what we did. Now we're waiting in the cut, reading, doing our own fucking due diligence to figure it all out. But the money, as of yesterday, was still in there. So he ain't did shit. And he was calling us biggity black and I don't know what else, right? Blackity black and I don't know what else. Like, cuz, get some act right. Don't be jealous. You showing out for the motherfucking, for the whites, right?
That's promoting this bullshit.
Look at his platform, cuz his platform's like 450K subscribers. Right? I don't even know. But that's a big ass motherfucking platform, right? So to spew I don't know, Jesse, stop. It's just spew motherfucking bullshit, right? Misleading information. Like what he's about to say. He's like, we got finesse. It's gonna take us like he hitting us in the head with some truth. You know what I mean? Knock some sense into us. Cause please, we was very wide this fucking weirdo's track. But keep in mind, I don't support this shit. My brother turned around to the other side of the opposition. I was like, I feel nauseated just playing this shit. I feel like I'm playing white people shit, and I don't like it. You know what I mean? I really don't like it. That's me. I feel like I'm playing some white conservative bullshit I won't agree with, and it hurts my soul to listen, man. Feelings are actively feeling like, ugh. I feel nauseated like a motherfucker right now. Just listen to this bullshit. Come on, don't play me with this. Hurry up and play this shit. Come on, internet. So using the hotspot or my hotspot. He's playing games. Come on, baby, come on, you can do it. Because we're talking to the internet. Yeah, we just talked about it so it gets its act together. No more hard pauses, right? It's hot, right? No? Let me see. Well, even my water out because I'm drinking. Okay, come on, baby, come on. We got an active hotspot and it's running. You put it on the hotspot, right?
Yeah.
Where is it at? Okay. That's it. Come on, guys. Now my phone died. It's like, seriously, family.
Were compelled to give, to contribute. Now we find out that ain't no money left. Yeah, the money you gave, that money you donated, ain't no money left. And they need more money for their legal defense for this boy, whose life hangs in the balance now. It ain't our place to determine his guilt or innocence. That's going to be for the jury. But at least with a war chest, we knew that he had a fair shot at a competent legal defense. Now, mind you, in Texas, he's not going to get some public pretender somewhere. They're probably going to give him a private attorney that's appointed by the court for indigent defendants. But we know, based on what the community did, I know y'all were proud of yourselves for stepping up and contributing to a cause and pushing it forward like that. I know. I felt your energy. But I know you got to be feeling some kind of way to know that the family ain't got no money. And after you raised over $500,000,
He's so fucking
for the cause.
cuz.
The cause is left flapping in the wind by a family that seemingly didn't care. Well, y'all, I'm glad that the blackity blacks are waking up and becoming sick and tired of the scandalous skullduggery that is surrounding this case.
Now, something ain't right. The family of Carmelo Anthony, who was accused of first-degree murder, is asking a GoFundMe for $1.4 million for legal fees. But something ain't right. They didn't raise over $538,000 for legal fees. But they're asking for a court-appointed attorney. Asking for a court-appointed attorney. Listen, what y'all do with that money? What y'all do with that $500,000? That's $500,000. Or something ain't going wrong. I don't know what his family doing, but y'all going through some money.
They did shit.
Ain't no way you got $538,000 from GoFundMe for your legal fees, and you asked for $1.4 million. Oh, something ain't right. Y'all did some of that money. I don't care what you say. You don't go through $500,000 that's supposed to be for his legal fees.
He ain't touched the money.
And asking for $1.4 million. The cat's out the bag. The family did some of that money. That money's supposed to go for that boy's legal defense. And now you spending it or doing something. I ain't no, you gonna ask for $1.4 million. This is outrageous. The family of Carmelo Anthony needs to be investigated because you got $500,000 for his legal fund and you getting a court-appointed attorney and asking for $1.4 million. That's crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am frustrated, I am tired, and I'm damn near heartbroken because what I'm looking at right now, what I'm reading about the Carmelo Anthony case, this ain't just sad. It's sinful. It's shameful. It's sick. You mean to tell me this man is facing a first-degree murder charge, facing life in prison, and he just filed an indignant form? He's broke after supporters raised over $538,000 for his legal defense. This ain't gonna fly. Not today, but somebody gotta say it, and I guess it's me. Goofies. They said it was to protect this young man and give him a fair shot at fighting for his life. But now, here we are, less than 2 months later, and this kid got no money left. He filed an indignant packet requesting a court-appointed attorney, meaning he can't afford his own defense anymore. And I'm supposed to believe this is just a coincidence? Hell no. Somebody got to pull the curtain back on these parents, because to me, this ain't adding up. Let's talk about their house. The family moved into a $900,000 rental in Frisco, Texas, one of the most upscale, high-end gated communities in the area. They said it was because they were getting death threats. Okay, let's say I believe it. But why the $900K price tag? Why not a $300K safe house out in the country? Why not a secure apartment with a private security? Why the luxury zip code? Then let's talk about the car. A neighbor told reporters that a brand new car showed up soon after they moved in. New paper tags, fresh off the lot, expiring June 4th. You mean to tell me that was paid for with security expenses? Or what?
Because I read it, right? You know how TMZ be all up in everybody's face, right? Well, this is just not for TMZ. I was like, play this first. All right. So, okay, instead, even after he walked from the slab around 20 and so